Hi everyone, and welcome to the Bass Pixie's Rockabilly double bass lessons. This week we are going to take a look at the double slap. So in rockabilly music, the slap sound on the double bass is really important, especially if you're in a band that doesn't have a drummer. So the idea of the slap is that the slap sound replaces the snare drum. But it also happens that when you do have a drummer in the band, that slap sound really brings a very authentic vibe to the rockabilly music. So it's something that's really important. But because it replaces the sound of the snare drum, it means that your rhythm on the double bass is one of the most vitally important things that you can do. So what we're going to take a look at is a very basic 12-bar blues progression using the single slap. And it sounds like this. So the double slap is literally just a pull and a return back to the fingerboard. So the technique on your right hand is really important. We did cover this a little bit in the single slap, but on the double slap it's even more important to make sure your hand positioning is correct, and also thinking about your slap technique with your right hand, because if you don't do it properly you're going to end up with a lot of calluses and that's not a lot of fun. So, but look, take a close-up. So if we take a little close-up of my hand, it's actually pretty good. A lot of people do ask, do you get a lot of calluses? No, but that's all in the technique. So we know how to do the single slap. If you don't, go back to my single slap video and do that one first, because that is the first stage of the double slap. So once you've watched that video, single slap, and the return, all you are doing essentially is flat palm hitting the fingerboard, okay? So if you remember the single slap video, we talked about where you land your hand in this is really important, and it's exactly the same in the double slap. So when you come back to slap the fingerboard, you want to land your fingers ready to play the next string that you're going to. So if I'm going from an E to a B, I'm going to land my hand just ready to play that B, ready on that A string to play the B. So the next thing to think about is keeping a flat palm. So what you want to do when you're returning, you want a really nice loose arm. You want your palm to be flat. You don't want to be hitting it. You don't want to be going like this. We don't need to beat the bass. The slap sound will come naturally. And you also have a little pickup under here. And what that does is that picks up and amplifies the slap sound. So you don't need to really go so hard on the bass. You can just do a little return. If you are finding it very difficult, it might be because you've got too high an action on your strings. And also steel strings make it a little bit more difficult. So now we're going to look at the rhythm of this slap. So if you're doing a 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, you just do a straight 4, but what you're doing is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the hit comes on the and you want to have a slight swing to it. And what that means is that you don't want them to be and, so you don't want to be dead on the note, okay? You want to make it sound a little lazy, so you're kind of pulling back on the tempo to make it sound a bit more swingy. So the difference between the two, if I play it straight, okay, that's playing it straight, and then if I play it with a swing, it's a very subtle difference. It's more about feel. The main thing to do is go listen to a lot of good rockabilly music and really absorb the vibes of that and the tempos and the feel. And especially if you play with a good drummer, follow what he's doing. It's really important as a double bass player that you lock in with your drummer, that you sort of follow his vibe and go with it, and you want to both be really tight, so the snare hit and the slap sound are coming at the same time. So when you're first starting to practice the double slap, practice it without your left hand. So just find an open string and slap and return. This exercise can also help you build up your speed. So when you first start this technique, start out really slowly. Really think about, am I pulling the string right? Am I hooking? You don't want to hook. We've done the single slap. Is my palm returning to the right place? Am I whacking the fingerboard? Am I relaxed? So think of all those questions. Just and do it until you can have a conversation whilst you're doing it. That's really important. Once you know you can have a conversation and not mess up your speech while you're doing the single slap technique or double slap technique, you know that you're pretty much on top of that and you can move forward onto something a little bit more complicated. The other thing is, when you're practicing this technique, like I say, start slowly, but if you really want to build up your speed, let it build up naturally. That is absolutely essential. Don't push your speed until here, yeah? Until you have really mastered doing it slowly. Because if you push it too fast and you try and do something that your body is not used to yet, your technique is going to be terrible. And if you've got terrible technique, it will, in the long run, it will slow down your progress and your speed. It will limit you to how fast you can play. So if you really want to be a fast player and you want to be an awesome rockabilly bass player, don't go too fast. Don't be too impatient or eager to be one of these super speedy, amazing bass players. Take it slowly. Take your time. Do a couple of exercises. And just build up the speed slowly. Slowly. I don't expect you to be that fast in day one. There is very little chance, unless you've done something very similar, that you'll be able to achieve really high speeds on day one. But if you do it once a day for, say, 3 weeks, by the end of 3 weeks, with a little 5-minute practice on your single slap, you should have a pretty decent speed. 3 weeks isn't a long time. I just want to take a quick look at specifically the double slap on the E string. Now the E string is notoriously hard to get the technique right on, and if I'm going to fail, if I'm going to make a mistake in a gig, it is usually missing the slap on the pull, the second pull, when you come back to the E string. So the reason being is it's so close to the edge of the fingerboard. I know the G's as well, but you're having your full palm across the fingerboard, so the placement is much easier. But here, when you play your E, your thumb is no longer on the fingerboard, you are literally relying on just your fingertips. So the idea is to pull and return the slap with just the fingertips here. And it can be very, very difficult to get the accuracy on it. So really do give a little bit of time to just that E string, just getting that technique right. But don't forget, make sure you practice each individual string, because the technique does slightly differ from string to string. So, we're just going to look at the little progression. So with a really relaxed hand, flat palm, be careful of your thumb, be careful not to hit too hard with the thumb. And we're just going to do a 12-bar blues. So if you watched my 12-bar blues tutorial, you know that the 12-bar blues consists of chord number 1, chord number 4 and chord number 5. So we're just going to play what we call the root and 5th note of each of those chords. So we're in the key of E, and we're going to start on a note E. And the first chord, we're just going to play E and B, because that is the first note and the 5th note of that chord. And so we're going to do. Okay, so that's 4 times through. And then the 4 chord in E is the A, so then move up to the A, which is just here. Yeah, just twice. And then the E twice. Okay, don't forget we're playing the root and the 5th. So the A chord is A followed by E. So E is the 5th note in the chord of A. Okay. And then we're going to follow it with B. So we're going to B to F sharp, which is, both of them are all fingers down. Again, if you looked at the left hand technique, it's the little finger here. Okay, we're not stretching out our 3rd finger. We're using. We're going to use 2 of those, followed by 2 E's. Okay, and this is a pattern that you'll be able to play under a lot of rockabilly music. There's a lot of the songs, there's a list of songs that you could try out that are all in a 12-bar blues. So play along with them, you know, get your recordings and play along. And you'll find that this pattern works really nicely under a lot of those songs. So there you have it, the Rockabilly double slap technique. It's a pretty simple one this week, but I hope you found something useful. Please do subscribe to the videos, give the video a like as well if you've enjoyed it. Every subscription and every like is really appreciated, so please do keep following, keep watching the videos, and most of all, keep practicing.